Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's the meme of the day brought to you by FiveMind.com. Well, that was quick. And that's the second video today that I start off saying the same thing. The first one being on the ground, small business owner regret following Mamdani's rise and victory. And well, for this one, it's very similar. Again, I think very quickly reality's starting to kick in. It's not just small business owners that are now freaking out after this trust fund baby was elected into power. No, it's also the tax base. It's been less than 24 hours, and we're already getting reports that apparently thousands upon thousands of people are now already preparing to leave the state. Reports are indicating that real estate agents are getting inundated with calls. The most productive people in the state are already planning to pick up and leave. And so let's call it the flight of productivity has already started. The most productive, most contributing members of New York City society are already seemingly headed for greener pastures. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so basically, this one really writes itself, and it's exactly like I was saying in the previous video. New York City is not invincible. No, like anywhere else, it's highly elastic. And when you punish capital, when you sneer and demonize the people who create value, they leave. Nobody wants to be in an abusive relationship. Nobody wants to be in an unfair predicament. The cost of living is already exceedingly high in New York City, and this, of course, applies to very wealthy people as well. And of course, many businesses run on very small margins. Well, if now they're faced with an environment, a very unfriendly tax and business environment that's going to further penalize them, well, you might just send people over the edge and they're going to leave. And now take a look at this Fox News report.
Some New Yorkers are thinking of packing up and getting out already. They call it the Mamdani migration. The New York Post is reporting that real estate agents are getting flooded with phone calls. Luxury real estate agent Brian Serhant told the Post that his #1 job will be moving people from New York to Florida again. And based on the results, clients are going to hold off on making any kind of investment in New York City.
Not surprising, is it, in the wake of him clinching that Democratic nomination, that wealthy people, really anyone with sort of a vested interest in the city, was exploring options of where they could move. Florida, of course, is a well-trodden path at this point, but what's much more concerning is the fact that people are actually walking away from deals. So people who were either in process of signing and purchasing an apartment or, potentially buying something in the future, they're walking away. Of course, Laura, the irony is that these are the very people who he needs to be paying for all of these programs. I mean, the things he's outlined sound like Doge cuts, right? Money, millions of dollars to transgender surgeries for minors. And there's really no way that he can do that if, as I think people will, they're going to pack up and leave.
And none of that surprises me. No, it's exactly what we've been expecting. It's what's been reported for months now. And like I've been mentioning, Zoran's response to this has been that, well, it's New York City. We have an allure, and I don't think taxes are going to chase people away. Well, I think not only is this notion highly naive, but it's also very easily disproven from very recent history. You don't even really have to look so far. We saw what happened during the pandemic. Funnily enough, Andrew Cuomo's track record, as well as Bill de Blasio, we saw the mass lockdown, the defunding of police, the city totally taken over by idiotic woke ideology, and what happened from 2020 to 2023 and even continuing to today. People left. They fled. And not just a couple people, hundreds of thousands of people on a yearly basis. Sure, you got some people who will blah, blah, blah about their incredible virtue. Oh, I'd happily pay more and more taxes because I'm such a good Democrat and elitist fancy person. But when push comes to shove, when reality kicks in, once the finances hit, those same people leave. And I've seen it firsthand. I'm in South Florida and I go out to dinner a lot. And at all these high-end restaurants, I just either listen to conversations that are happening, or sometimes I'll converse with people that I might be sitting next to at a bar. I hear it so many times. Honestly, it's kind of unbelievable. It's almost like everybody that I meet is from New York, and it's really no surprise why. Woke policies increasing crime. Nobody wants to raise a family or live in a high crime environment. Nobody wants to see people doing heroin on the streets as they're walking in New York City. I've had that experience walking around in New York City many times. People smoking crack or injecting literally on the streets. And of course, productive people don't want to be treated like ATM machines for a city government that cannot deliver on the promises that it's pushing. It's been decades of Democrat control. Taxes continually creeping up, getting more burdensome. And life's not getting better. Life's getting more unaffordable. People have noticed that. At least the smart people have. And so no wonder they're going to Florida. They're going to a place that rewards productivity. And most importantly, a place that understands the basic concepts, the basic fundamentals of economics. Something that clearly is becoming less and less common in New York City. You know, the whole perspective, the leftist perspective on landlords, I think is the clearest example. And here's another clip of an individual who supposedly is a landlord, and he says he's going to North Carolina.
Ivan, I hear you don't have to pay rent anymore. Is that true?
I know what was coming.
Ellie, you don't have to pay Ivan rent anymore. I'm just letting you know. You have the new mayor, you don't got to pay no money. Everything's free.
And the bus is free.
Everything is free. You're not getting your rent, Ivan. You okay with not getting rent, Ivan?
Are you okay with selling and leaving?
Leaving? Where
Yes.
are you going to leave to, Ivan? Ivan, where are you leaving to?
I'm leaving to North Carolina.
You know, this whole landlord conversation, the demonization of landlords, really is the most prime example of economic incompetence from these left-wing thinkers. We need cheaper rent. Let's demonize the landlords. Oh, let's tax the people who own the properties. And then once your rent goes up, oh, why is my rent going up? They use landlords as a scapegoat, as a boogeyman. And now the idea is to stabilize rent, right? Well, what happens when you stabilize rent? Inflation's going up, the economy grows. Well, landlords can't increase their rent? They have to keep them artificially low? What happens if interest rates go up and their cost on financing goes up? Well, they're supposed to just take the loss? What do you think's gonna happen? They're gonna be in a position where they can't justify putting money into the property. That's how you get slums. That's how you get buildings that are falling apart, that aren't being maintained. And of course, that's how you get less supply. If you take away the economic incentive to build, you stagnate construction. And when you have less supply of housing, what happens? Rent goes up. They want to demonize the landlord. But the reason housing has become so unaffordable is because of government. Drop the boogeyman narratives, this idea that every landlord is a cartoonish villain, and talk about the mechanics. If you want more affordability, you need to build more. You need to stabilize, not rent. You need to stabilize and enable open permitting. Kill the red tape that stops construction. Stop this nonsense of structuring the entire market around this assumption that every landlord is a crook. Every landlord's a bad person who's taking advantage of the renters. Every landlord's a multi-frickin' billionaire who's making billions upon billions of dollars doing nothing. That concept is stupid. Most landlords are not making a lot of money. Real estate doesn't outperform the S&P. At least not always. Sometimes it does, but in mass, in totality, it does not. There's a lot of money in maintenance and financing and taxes. It takes a while for real estate investments to mature and become fruitful. And unless you're doing real estate on a huge hyper scale, you're just not seeing those kinds of returns. A lot of these landlords are regular people. They're people who have saved up as much money as they can. They bought a couple properties. They're trying to put money into those properties, make them better, increase the rents. And really, they're providing a service and they're not making that much money doing it. They might be making a couple points. They might be breaking even. And they're trying to work towards the next refinance so they can take that money and invest and do more of it. They're productive people. And now New York City is demonizing them. So the state can come in and buy up real estate and give you what? They're going to give you slums. We already saw what happened with housing projects. And now people in New York are voting for more of it. Well, no wonder people are leaving. No wonder people want to sell their properties and go somewhere where they can actually do business. New York City is not immune to basic economic fundamentals. And really, I think, following this Mamdani thing, the left really does need to learn a very harsh lesson. You cannot engage in class warfare and regulate your way into prosperity. You have to do it the proper way. You have to build. You have to incentivize. You have to enable the most productive people in your society, not demonize them. And well, obviously, the voters in New York, mostly the expat voters, the young college feminists, clearly they don't understand it. And I think they're about to get a serious dose of reality check. It's coming. Whether it happens this year, I don't know, but it's definitely coming down the pike. If Mamdani does what he's attempting to do here, you can bet your last dollar on it. It is coming one way or another. When you attack productivity, the whole system falls apart, and that's exactly what New York City voters voted for. Good luck. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.